Welcome to Right on Track, a songwriting podcast. Thanks to Tone for tuning in. I'm Demi Michelle Schwartz, and I'm thrilled you're joining me on my songwriting journey. So kick back and relax, don't fall flat, and remember, stay right on track. Hello everyone, welcome back to Right on Track. I am so excited to be joined by a very special guest today. Please welcome Tudor Nacu. Hi Tudor.
Hi. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. It's been a hectic week considering that there's a lot of upcoming projects and things going on. But yeah, I'm really happy to be here.
Oh, for
This
sure.
is
No,
really
it's great
cool.
having you. Of course, of course. Yeah, like I feel the busyness. I'm currently getting ready to finish graduate school, so I'm in that whole thing. So yeah, it's been crazy, but I'm so excited you're joining me today because we are going to be talking all about the songwriting process and how we grow and evolve over time as writers. But before we get into that, can you share with the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So as you said, my name is Tudor. I am originally from Bucharest, Romania, and I've pretty much been doing music my entire life. But professionally, I actually almost finished my degree, as in I got my dissertation back and I finished all of my modules and like my graduate, my I finished my bachelor's, but I haven't graduated technically yet. I'm still waiting on a few more grades to come back, but I did it in sound and music production. So career-wise, I guess I would be a producer. Um, but yeah, I've been playing music since I was a little kid. Um, and yeah, I'm looking forward to my master's, which I'll be doing at Berkeley College of Music, the Valencia one.
Oh, wow.
They opened a new building, I guess. I don't know what to call it. Uh, a few years back in Valencia, Spain, and I'm really excited about that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I didn't know you did the production side as well. That probably definitely contributes to your new music and your writing now.
Yeah, no, it's I didn't actually do the producing for my own album because I feel like as a producer I tend to be very critical of the artist whenever I'm producing. Well, not of the artist, but like I don't know, I'll have issues with the way they pronounce certain words, like producer things,
Yeah.
like, oh my god, why do you put so much emphasis on S's? My DSer is gonna crack. Uh,
Yeah, or like do the Ariana Grande thing where you just don't understand. I feel like she
yeah,
doesn't complete her words.
yeah, no, and like it would be weird to criticize myself for not recording properly, and so I worked with a friend who also did the music for the like the instrumentals for the album.
That's so cool. That's great. I'm so excited to dive deeper into this. Can you kick everything off with a quote by Matt Dillon?
Sure. So one of my greatest fears is not being able to change, to be caught in a never-ending cycle of sameness. Growth is so important.
What does this mean to you?
It's a tough question because like I've had this mindset for a long time. I am really scared of having my music become boring and not out of fashion per se, because that's, I don't know, I feel like that's a bit shallow, but I don't know, I don't want to feel like people are over my music. I
Mm-hmm.
want to keep growing and evolving, and career wise as well, like production wise, I want to keep learning how to improve and explore a lot of different opportunities, and
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, like, I think it's so important to not be afraid to try new things. I think sometimes we can get wrapped up in what feels comfortable and what we're used to and can shy away from exploring other genres or doing different kind of collaborations or taking on opportunities that might be new to us or something we never really tried before. Because like I feel like if we stay in that comfortable place and kind of feel trapped in a box in some ways. I think that not only comes off sameness to like listeners and fans and everything, but also for me, like if I would do the same style or same kind of song, same projects over and over and over again, I think I would start losing interest and lose my inspiration and creativity because I'm always looking to try new things and expand my horizons.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Because like for example, I've my main instrument. I mean, obviously, I choose vocals as my main instrument per se, but like my main instrument that I usually play is acoustic guitar, and that has always led me to writing ballads, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you start writing ballads from a young age, it's so hard to get rid of that writing style and of that type of mentality. And I was put in situations where I had to write lyrics and vocals for songs that had nothing to do with my style. And I was at the beginning, it was so terrifying. Like even one of my songs, "Dress," when we wrote it, I was talking to this friend of mine that I was writing it with, and he said, "I want this to be like rock. I want this to be actual like indie rock." And it terrified me for a second. I was like, how do I write this? How do I go about not being a sad boy? You know?
Yeah, yeah, I think for sure. I think also it's like it's so much easier to write ballads and sad songs. Like as soon as somebody wants like a happy up tempo song, it's like I don't want to be cheesy or cliche, but like when you're writing sad songs, it just feels more natural. But for you, like what were some of the things you had to do to break out of, okay, I'm not going to always write ballads and kind of push through that fear to explore these different styles?
Well, first of all, it was listening to a lot of different styles and genres. That was definitely because it's really hard to like I know a lot of people would say that genres and the barrier created by genres is a bit restrictive, and it kind of leaves you with a bit of a pattern. But it's still important if you want to write something that's rock or that's pop punk. You gotta do the you gotta know the basics of it, right?
Right.
And the second thing that I did, I guess, would be just diving in. Really, I mean, there's there was nobody to really teach me how to write different music other than ballads. I got into a project quite recently, actually, that's not finished yet, but it's interesting and it's coming out quite well. Where I collaborated with a Romanian artist. It's going to be a half Romanian, half English song. That and he does Romanian trap music, so like it's got nothing to do with like my style of music, but we kind of met halfway through and turned it into like I don't know, a pretty cool collaboration. And that was interesting. I had to adapt for that, like I don't know how to write a kind of R&B type uh chorus, but I had to learn how to do it.
Yeah. No, you bring up some really great points. First, with the listening, I think that's huge. And I think anybody in music, whether you're a songwriter or on the production side, I think the more you listen to other genres and not stay in your own preferences necessarily, I think the better musician you become. Because for me, like, I grew up listening to pop music, like 100%. I was not open to other genres. But then I started to listen to country music, and now a lot of my music is like pop country crossover, and it's a really different sound than my first album. And so I think that just expanded me as a songwriter just from listening to other styles and kind of seeing what you can pull into your own writing, what resonates with you, and that helps to develop your sound. And then also with the collaboration thing, I completely agree. I think the coolest thing about collaboration is whether you're just doing a co-write or you're actually working with a producer or another artist. Like you said, you kind of meet in the middle and you kind of blend both of your styles and what you guys like offer individually. And I think that itself just creates something different. Like I just did a couple top lines that I'm hoping get released at some point. I don't have all the details yet, but I've never done that before because my writing process is very like, okay, start with lyrics and melody and build up from there. But being given fully produced tracks, which is the ones more like dance EDM kind of, the other one's just very up tempo pop, and having to write a song over that just forced me to kind of step out of my own writing style and try something different. And I think that helped me to grow as well. So I completely agree with the collaboration and listening is so important.
Yeah, no, and like you wouldn't have been able to know what to do if you hadn't listened to that kind of
Right.
music ever.
Exactly.
Like I've always had well, it's not. I don't have something personal against anybody who does that, but I think it's a bit weird, especially if you're working in music, to be uh, very strict about what you're listening to. Like, oh, I only listen to X genre,
Yeah.
and because you're gonna restrict yourself eventually.
Mm.
There's even if you say, oh, that genre has literally no good artists. If that's your opinion,
Yeah.
uh, it's very likely that you're wrong. At least one good artist is gonna be there,
Yeah.
like in any genre.
Right. Yeah, music is so subjective, and I think we all have our favorite genres, right? Like, I love pop music and I love country music, but that doesn't mean that, like, a rock song won't come around and I'm like, oh, that's a really great song. Or I'll listen to, like, a Latin inspired song and, oh, that's a cool song. Like, I think just, like, being open to other genres and appreciating it, because even though that's not your vibe and that's not what you listen to on a daily basis, like, that doesn't mean it's bad because there's obviously great artists and listeners who appreciate and listen to that kind of music.
Yeah, no, I do agree.
Yeah. So let's chat a little bit about your writing process. So, can you share a little bit about maybe like when you started songwriting, your approach, and then how that evolved over time?
Right. So, uh, one thing I do have to say about myself is I don't consider myself to be the greatest instrumentalist. I can play guitar. I can play a bit of piano, I guess, and that's pretty much about it. Everything else I do on a computer. But uh, with that in mind, I songwriting was really hard for me when I was about 14, 15 because I was a bad guitar player, right? And I thought, oh, in order to write a good song, you have to write a guitar line, you have to start building up a melody, and then you write lyrics. That was the whole concept I had in my head, right? And it was so rough because I could never get past like playing the same three
Yeah.
chords and having the most boring song in the world. And um, I realized at one point that my strength, so to say, was being able to come up with cool vocal lines, with cool, like interesting, pretty dynamic vocal lines. And I slowly over time realized that my signature kind of was the fact that I am really bad at saying something in few words. So all of my lyrics are really packed.
I feel you. Same.
Yeah, so like I have to give myself breaks when I'm writing lyrics just because I know I will not be able to breathe when I start singing this. Like
Yeah.
there's not going to be any opportunity for me to breathe. And I my first song that I wrote that I actually enjoyed writing, I think the first time I actually started feeling like I'm decent at writing songs was I was collabing with a friend that was about 16 or something like that. It was a kid. And um I feel like I have to put a parenthesis here. I always say that my music is personal. It is very personal. When I write my lyrics, they're very personal. And people tend um to understand that as in all of my lyrics are about me, right? That is sometimes true, but I also when I say that my music is personal, I mean that I get emotionally involved in my in the subject that I'm talking about, and I put my whole heart into it. So then I feel like when I'm writing the song, I feel like I'm sort of representing that subject. It's a weird thing to say, I know, but like
No, that makes total sense. No, I'm the same way. Completely.
yeah, so I was with this friend, and she was going through a weird breakup, you know what 16-year-old breakups are like. And she wanted to write a song but didn't know how to start. So I said, I'll help you. Let's do it. So I kind of try to put myself in her perspective and kind of have her tell me what was going on, and that's how I really wrote the first song that I was happy with. And obviously, it was a ballad. It wasn't great. I look back on it now and I laugh, but it was my start. And from then I realized that I just need to think about the lyrics, think about the vocal line, think about how I sing, and then adapt rest of the music after it, which is a pretty backwards way of doing it.
I'm really lyrically driven like you, and I think when when you're so attached to what you're writing about emotionally and on a personal level, I think it makes sense to do it like that because you start with the concept or the story or whatever inspired it, and then you're saying, okay, this is what I want to say, and you craft lyrics that fit that, but then also write a vocal line that emphasizes properly what you're trying to say and that kind of complements what you're saying in the lyric.
Yeah, no, it's I had to adapt because, like I said, I'm not great with instruments. I'm not able to write a song from scratch, like just by strumming a guitar and mumbling something. I do mumble. I do what John Mayer calls Ouija boarding.
Yeah.
And when I start writing the lyrics, I just mumble my way through
Yeah.
the vocal line, and the lyrics just start coming out.
Yeah. So, looking at your growth over the years, what do you think your number one takeaway has been from your songwriting?
Hmm. My number one takeaway when I first started playing music around people, I was first of all very nervous to play. I don't know, I was inexperienced. I wasn't very good at singing back then. And my biggest fear was expressing my ideas when we were sketching out a song or anything like that, because I didn't know if it were any good. I mean, to be fair, they weren't very good, but you know. But yeah, I was always nervous, and now that I've been writing with people, I've been writing with a lot of people in the past 2 months, and now that I know that my album came out well, that I like it personally, I feel a lot more confident when I'm expressing my ideas, when I'm showing people my lyrics, and I, ironically enough, it worked out because people are always like, "Oh, this is great. Let's do it," and I'm like, Where did that come from?" I'm always confused because I feel like I didn't do anything special, but I it makes me happy. That's probably my biggest takeaway: the fact that I gained the confidence to work with other people.
That's perfect. I love that so much. And I love that you were able to develop that confidence because at the end of the day, like you're writing these songs that are personal to you. And so you should be able to express like your ideas because these are your songs. Like this isn't a situation where other writers are writing songs and pitching to you to record. Like these are your songs and you're contributing to the writing process. And I think gaining that confidence to break out of your shell and contribute, it takes a lot. I didn't co-write right away either because I was like, oh, what if my ideas are bad and blah blah. I wasn't very comfortable as a writer. But once I started co-writing with other writers too, like I learned things from them. I get the validation that my ideas are good. Not every idea is good, but I get the validation that some of them are good and that there's potential in them. And I think the more that you do that and the more that you work with others and see that you definitely have something to bring to the table that's just going to help you moving forward.
Yeah, no. I have to give credit where credit is due, though. The the guy that I've been mentioning, the that I wrote my last album with, um, he is very much responsible for the large amount of confidence that I've gained in the past year. I would say because um, I released this single called Paris Lover in 2020, which is a funny story because people tend to think it's like this deep song that I wrote about something that happened to me. And in reality, I was watching How I Met Your Mother for the first
Oh
time
my
because I'm quirky
god.
like that. And I felt so, I don't know, I kind of connected so much with the mother, with I don't remember her name. It's the character called played by uh, uh I'm really bad with names. Yeah, anyway, yeah, I connected with the mother character a lot. Like I don't know, I kind of not connected as in related to it, but like I don't know, I really liked it. And I started with this idea that their whole relationship towards the end was here I am giving spoilers out on a podcast to people who haven't watched the show. Yeah, was kind of running out of time due to her sickness, and I linked it all together with the fact that at one point she sings La Vie en Rose, and that's how I got to Ferris Lover.
Yeah.
Like I want to be your Ferris Lover, but we're out of time, and the whole idea of Ferris Lover is kind of a running joke amongst Romanian people because whenever Romanian people think of a really um, romantic person, they tend to make him French,
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's how that song happened. Anyway, I'm completely going off drill here.
No, you're perfect. Keep going.
So this guy listened to my song and then DM'd me on Instagram saying, "I love it. I want to work with you. When you come back to Bucharest, come to my place and we'll get recording on some songs, write some demos." And what he did, and I think this is amazing, is he's one of the best instrumentalists that I've ever worked with. He is absolutely a genius. Uh, and he just started playing things on guitar, on piano, and said, I'm gonna guide you a bit, but I want this to be all you. I want this to all come from you. I want this project to be your feelings, and I want it to be exclusively about like what you feel, you know? And he was giving me so much space, but at the same time guiding me so well because he had slightly more experience than me. Not like by a lot, but just slightly more. And I don't know, it was really reassuring. It helped me a lot to write.
That's awesome. I love how he wasn't just like kind of taking over because he had the skills to finish it or take it to the next level. He wasn't just taking over and saying, okay, Tudor, this is what we're doing. He actually lets you contribute and find your way. And I think that's absolutely incredible. That's perfect.
Yeah, the line that he got me with, because I don't know, I hadn't collaborated with anybody at that point, and I was a bit nervous. And he said, "Here's the deal. I'm really good with instruments, but really bad with lyrics. You're good with lyrics, but your instruments could really use a lot of help." Because Ferris Lover was, I don't know, it was my first song that I ever released, so it wasn't great. It wasn't perfect. And he said, "I feel like this would be a match made in heaven." And I was like, "Okay, bet you got me."
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That's like the best thing about collaborations because you bring the lyrics, he brings the instrumentation, and that's what you need for, the songs and everything. So I think that's a perfect collaboration. And you've mentioned your album a couple of times, and you have your latest EP. So can you share a little bit about the inspiration behind it, what it's called, and maybe some of your maybe like epiphanies or big experiences from the songwriting side of this project?
Right. So the album is the EP is called Between Four Color Balls, and I guess it's pretty obvious from the name of the album that it's about being stuck in the house. It's between four walls. It was I started writing it during the pandemic. Well, not really. When I say pandemic, people tend to think March 2020. That kind of when the whole world went into lockdown. But in Romania, that lasted for a lot longer. So it went all the way up until like the end of actually even the middle of 2022, or like the first few months of 2022. It was rough. 2020 out 2021 throughout, we had a curfew, so you had to be in your house by 10.
Oh, whoa. Woo!
Yeah, because there were a lot of cases racking up, and it
Oh
was
my gosh.
rough. The reason I called it Between Four Colored Walls, and the reason why each of the songs is so different, is because I wanted to emphasize this the weird thoughts, like the four moods, let's say, that I had throughout the pandemic. Like for example, Home is about my depression and how for a long time I couldn't get out of bed. I couldn't do much. And I was also very scared to talk to people about it because I didn't I didn't want to feel I didn't want to make it real. I didn't want to say, "Oh, I'm depressed. This is the situation. Let's fix it." And that's what the song's about. It's about getting the courage to go out and solve my problems. Feelings is literally about my girlfriend. It's a love song. I don't know how else to describe it. It's describing this relationship that we've had. We have known each other for a very long time, and have had we were together before when we were kids, and we got back together now. And I don't know, it just kind of tells that story. It's literally that. And Dress is a funny one because Dress we wrote for fun right after New Year's Eve. Um, and it's about that, let's just say it's about that moment when you're going out with your partner and people are waiting for you, but your partner looks really good. And you do not want to leave anymore at that point. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say more because this is family friendly. But yeah, that's what the song is about. We were laughing because I was talking with the producer about it the next day. He brought out this really sick riff on his guitar. I was like, that reminds me of something.
Yeah, that's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was a funny session. It wasn't a funny recording session though afterwards because kids is more or less about how we didn't realize in a way that life was so easy when we were like kids, and I mean like actual kids, like 9. Because like the whole song has little references of things that kids do and like kids entertainment, I don't know. And yeah, it's just about that. It's just me looking back and thinking, wow, that was so easy because I didn't have to do anything. I didn't have to really stress out about anything. And like I know it's a cliche, and my parents were telling me, "Oh, you're gonna don't grow up so fast. You're gonna regret it afterwards. You're gonna wish you were a kid again."
Yeah.
You do. You really do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. I love how these songs have very specific stories behind them, and it sounds like a great process you had. What do you think was the biggest hurdle you had to jump as a songwriter with this project?
There were a lot of things that went wrong, but those are just like tiny things. Like we we realized after a whole recording session that we had the microphone set on a different setting, and it sounded like trash. But like, yeah. But actual challenges, well, it was the first time I had to write songs on a deadline. That was something because we had when we started the album. Uh, so I came back from the UK for Christmas, and we had about 3 weeks to start with. Like we said, we need to finish and record all the songs in 3 weeks. In reality, what happened is I ended up getting stuck in Romania because of COVID, and then a lot of political reasons also happened around this part of the world, and so I couldn't go back to the UK for a bit. So I had a bit more time, but we wrote the songs in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And that was my first time writing, recording, and like essentially doing a semi production of 4 songs in 3 weeks. I know it's not a lot. Like there's people that write 20, 30 songs in 3 weeks, but for me it was difficult at first.
No, that's fantastic. And I think that was probably a great learning experience because when we have time and we're not on deadlines, we get through the whole, oh, maybe I'll just go back and change this line. What if I change the progression? Maybe this chord isn't perfect. And you start to second guess everything. But when you're on a deadline, I tend like, even just with school stuff, like when I'm on a deadline, it's like, okay, screw all the little things. Like, this is fine. I can't be nitpicky. Like, it's never going to be perfect. And you kind of have to like recenter yourself and focus on what really matters instead of every little tiny thing. Of course, you want the details to be good, but you have to look at the big picture at that point. So I think that's a great experience. And also, like, if you think about like pro songwriters and major label artists who are recording projects and songwriters being brought in to write for them, sometimes it's like, okay, we need a lead single for this project by this artist like by Friday, and say it's like a Wednesday. You got like 2 days to write it and demo it and whatever. So I think it's just like a great learning experience, because if you ever get the other opportunities of working with other artists, or maybe something comes up with you that you need to get something done quick, then you already have that experience. So I think that was awesome.
Yeah, no, definitely. And yeah, deadlines are so important. Like
Yeah.
I used to hate the idea of deadlines. Yeah, in high school, for example. But that was just because I was lazy and I was never actually doing my work, you know.
Yeah.
I think my sociology teacher from high school is still waiting for some coursework from me.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Speaking of deadlines, just got back my I just got the grade for my dissertation back, and somehow it turned out to be a first, which in the UK is like the highest grade technically you can get.
Oh wow.
And I was looking at it and I was thinking, how on earth I wrote this? So I did my dissertation on the evolution of Romani music,
Oh wow.
right? And I worked a lot on gathering resources. So I did an interview with this big artist that's Romanian and like of Romani origins, and it was a lot of work put into research. But the writing, I wrote 10,000 words in 2 days because I cannot work without a deadline. I do not. I cannot. I simply
Yeah.
cannot work without it.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. Wow. Well, I have one more question for you to wrap everything up. So, for any songwriters listening who may be struggling to allow themselves to step out of their comfort zones and to take chances and allow themselves to evolve as writers, what advice would you give them?
It's weird because at the same time I want to say just dive in, but I know how hard that is without proper guidance. So it's a mix. When you're given the opportunity to dive into something, don't shy away from it. But otherwise, when you're just working on yourself, just go step by step. Just let's say you wrote a ballad. Let's say this song that I'm writing right now, the last song was a ballad. This one, I'll write something a bit more up tempo. I'll write something with like a funkier beat or anything like that. I'll just give it a cool bass line and make the vocal line a bit, more up tempo, and just evolve slowly until you're given that opportunity. When you're given that opportunity, just go for it.
Yeah. Perfect. Well, Tudor, it was lovely having you. Can you share with everyone where they can find you on social and listen to your music?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you so much for having
Oh, of
me.
course.
So my Instagram is at Tudor Nacu, I think.
You can look real quick.
That should be it, shouldn't it? Let me check. Yes, it is. It's at Tudor Nacu. That
Okay.
is the one. And yeah, because I'm confusing it with my Twitter, which is ad Naku underline Tudor. And you can find my music on any streaming platform. I think should be up on all the other ones. The big ones were out right away. So like Apple Music, Spotify, Tidal, they're all there.
Perfect. Well, Tudor, thank you so much again for joining me. This has been fantastic. Listeners, thank you for listening. And of course, until next time,
Stay
stay
right
right
on
on
track.
track.